Good morning, students. Today we are going to read the lecture number 2 of market failure in the topic of allocation of the resources in the subject of economics O levels. So concentrate yourself. First, we are going to read a question. In 2003, Kenya introduced free primary education. In a number of the other African countries, state school charge fees. Now, first question is identify two arguments for providing free primary education. So look now, higher future earnings, lifelong interest, and lifelong friends. The social benefits include not only these private benefits, because these are the private benefits for the students, but the social benefits are to the other people who will be able to enjoy higher quantity and quality of the output, as graduates are usually highly productive workers. B parties explain why, if left to market forces, education is likely to be underconsumed. So the answer is because people do not actually realize the true benefit of the education. So look now, education is likely to be underconsumed if left to market forces, as people underestimate its value to themselves. Also, while making their consumption decisions, they do not take into account the associated benefits to the others. So this is the reason if left to market forces, it will be underconsumed. The next thing that we are going to read in the lecture is demerit goods. A demerit goods has two characteristics. A good which harms the consumer. Number two, usually these goods also have negative externalities. So these things do not only harm the consumers, but also harm the other persons also. Therefore, in a free market, there will be overconsumption and therefore overproduction of these goods. Examples of the demerit goods include smoking, drinking, and taking drugs, because they not only harm the user but also harm the third party also. To tackle this problem, government could raise their prices by imposing a tax on them. So definitely when prices will be raised, there will be less demand of the product because of the higher prices. Number two, it could also seek to discourage consumption by providing information about their harmful effects. So when people and the society will know about the harmful effects, definitely their consumption will be less. Also, if it thinks that the consumption of these certain products causes serious problems, it may ban them. So this is the third option, ban them at all. Recently, a number of the countries, including the countries of the UK and the Ireland, have imposed a ban on smoking in public places. So this is a good step taken by the government to discourage the demerit goods. This measure is designed not only to discourage smoking, but also to protect the health of the non-smokers. Other measures that government used to reduce smoking include government-sponsored health campaigns, placing health warnings on the packets of the cigarettes, taxation, and banning the advertising of these cigarettes. So these are the steps which can be taken to discourage the smoking. Here is a question that will make your concepts more clear. Between 1977 and 2006, alcohol-related medical emergencies and hospital treatments doubled in the UK. In 2006, the state-funded National Health System, that is in short NHS, carried out more than 250,000 treatments for medical problems caused by excessive drinking, including liver disease and severe alcohol poisoning. A part question is explain why alcohol is a demerit good. So look now, alcohol is a demerit good as it is more harmful to drinkers than they realize and cause harmful effects on the third parties, including rowdy behavior and road accidents. So the alcohol not only harm the consumers but also harm the third parties. B part is explain two ways using which the UK government could reduce the consumption of the alcohol. So among the ways the UK government can adopt to reduce the drinking of the alcohol are placing or increasing a tax on the product. So when prices will be rise, so there will be less consumption, providing information about its harmful effects and banning its consumption. A tax would raise the price of the alcohol, which would cause a contraction in the demand, although demand may be relatively inelastic. So but there will be fall in the consumption. The provision of the information may reduce demand. A ban would be designed to stop the consumption of the alcohol, but it might be difficult to enforce. The next thing that we are going to read in the lecture is the public goods. The characteristics of the public goods are the opposite of the private goods. Number one characteristic is non-excludability. The benefits derived from pure public goods cannot be confined solely to those who have paid for it. Definitely the benefits gained by the payers, but also will be gained by the third party also. Indeed, non-payers can enjoy the benefits of the consumption at no financial cost. Economists call this the free rider problem. Number two characteristic of the public good is the non-rival consumption. Consumption by one consumer does not restrict consumption by the other consumers. In other words, the marginal cost of supplying a public good to an extra person is zero. If it is supplied to one person, it is available to all. And number three characteristic of the public good is non-rejectable. The collective supply of a public good for all means that it cannot be rejected by the people. A good example is a nuclear defense system or flood defense system. So when it is provided to one, will be provided to all. There are relatively few examples of the pure public goods. Examples include flood control systems, some of the broadcasting services provided by the BBC, public water supplies, street lighting for the road and motorways, lighthouse protection for the ships, and also national defense services. So these are the examples, because when this is provided for the one, it will be provided for the all. Why are public goods an example of the market failure? Pure public goods are not normally provided by the private sector because they would be unable to supply them for a profit, because profit will not be gained, because these are the examples of the free riders. So this is a market failure. Private sector will not provide it. It is up to the government to decide what output of the public goods is appropriate for the society. To do this, it must estimate the social benefits from making public goods available. So this is the reason why public goods are considered as the market failure. What is meant by the free rider problem? So look now, because public goods service are non-excludable, it is difficult to charge people for benefiting from a good or service once it is provided. So you cannot charge actually. The free rider problem leads to underprovision of a good service and thus causes market failure. The next thing that we are going to read in the lecture is the abuse of the market power. Market power occurs when a firm has a significant share of the market, say greater than 25% of the market. When a firm has a large share of the market, it can act in a way that is said to be an abuse of the market power. Abuse of the market power includes, so look now, if any of the firm having more than 25% share of the market, so what can be happened? Setting higher prices. Firms with a degree of the monopoly powers are able to set higher prices to consumers because there is no competitor of their size in the market. Number two, offering less choice. Number three, restricting competition. For example, firms may enter into vertical competition, fixing agreements. For example, an ice cream firm may give a shop a free freezer as long as it promises to only sell its ice creams. So the shopkeepers which are gaining this facility will be forced to sell only that ice cream. Inefficient allocation of the resources. So these are actually the abuse of the market power. These abuses of the market power can occur in various situations. So these are the situations in which abuse of the market can be done. Number one, monopoly. Firms has more than 25% of the market share, easier to increase prices because they are the bigger in size, so they will be able to increase their prices. Number two, mergers is another situation. When two firms join together to form one, this is usually result in an increase in the market power, which can lead to outcomes such as higher prices. Number three is the cartels. When firms agree to restrict output and set higher prices, so they reduce their production and set prices higher. Effectively, they are acting as if there was one monopoly in the industry. So these are the situations in which market power abuse can be done. There are various ways through which governments try to promote competition and prevent firms from abusing their market power. These include, so these are the steps to reduce the market power abusing. Number one, removing restrictions on the entry of the new firms into a market. So when there will be more competition, so the firms will be forced to lower their prices to attract the customers. Number two, making uncompetitive practices such as the price fixing illegal. So this is another way. Number three, they may also stop some firms from merging, that is joining together to form one new firm if it is thought that the merged firms will act against the interest of the consumers by charging high prices and producing poor quality products. Next, we are going to read another question that will make your concepts more clear. Under an open skies, a deal reached in March 2007 between the US and the European Union. It was agreed to allow more airlines to fly between the two areas, including between the Heathrow Airport and London and the US. The deal is due to come into effect in March 2008. So actually more companies are introducing in the air transport, so more competition will be there. Up to 2008, only four airlines, British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, American Airlines, and United Airlines, were permitted to fly between the London and the New York. It is expected that increased competition will come from the airlines such as BMI, Lufthansa, and Delta, and that prices will fall significantly. British Airways has announced, so look at the just news of the coming of the competition. British Airways has announced that it is going to upgrade its business class cabins and lounges to prevent its customers being lured away. Question is, a part is, what incentive would encourage more airlines to fly on a particular route? So look at the incentive. The profit motive is the incentive. More airlines would fly a particular route if they think that they will make a profit on the route. So this is the incentive which is given to the new firms to come. B part is, explain two benefits offered by the increased competition to the consumers. So to the consumers may benefit from the lower prices and increased quality. The next thing that we are going to read in the lecture is immobility of the resources. One cause of the market failure is the immobility of the factors of the production. There are two main types of the factor mobility. Number one is occupational immobility and second is geographical immobility. And now we are going to read them one by one. First, occupational immobility. Occupational immobility occurs when there are barriers to the mobility of the factors of the production between the different sectors of the economy, leading to these factors remaining unemployed or being used in ways that are not efficient. So this is the case of the occupational immobility. Some capital inputs are occupationally mobile. A computer can be put to use in many different industries, and commercial buildings such as the shops and offices can be altered to provide a base for many businesses. So computer is occupational mobile because it can be used in the air business, in the road business, in the shops. So these kind of the factors of the production are occupationally mobile, but some factors of the production are immobile. Some capital inputs are occupationally mobile, okay. However, some units of the capital are specific to the industry. They have been designed for example, a printing press or a nuclear power station, for example. So these cannot be switched from one sector of the economy to the other. People often experience occupational immobility. For example, workers made redundant in the steel industry or in the heavy engineering may find it difficult to find a new job because they are actually have the skills to that particular industry specifically. So they cannot work in the other sectors of the economy. They may have specific skills that are not necessarily needed in growing industries, which cause a mismatch between the skills on offer from the unemployed and those required by the employers looking for the workers. This problem is called structural unemployment. Clearly, this leads to a waste of the scarce resources and represents market failure. To reduce occupational immobility, these are the steps which can be taken. Invest in training schemes for the unemployed to boost their human capital, to equip them with new skills and skills that can be transferred from one occupational to the occupation to the another. So if this is done, definitely occupational mobility will be done. Number two, subsidize the provisions of the vocational training by private sector firms to raise the skill levels. So the main thing is if they raise the skills, so they can move from one sector of the economy to the other. Government can provide investment grants to make it easier to the firms to change the use of the land and the buildings. So if this is done, so occupational mobility will be done. Second type is geographical immobility. Geographical immobility refers to the barriers people moving from one area to another to find the work. So this is actually moving from one area to the other. There are good reasons why geographical immobility might exist. So these are the reasons why geographical immobility is done. Number one, family and social ties. People cannot move because of the reason. Number two, financial costs involved in moving home, including the cost of selling a house and removal expenses. So people cannot meet actually these expenses. So they are geographically immobile. Number three, huge regional variations in the house prices leading to shortage of the affordable housing in many areas. Next reason is the high cost of renting property. Next reason is differences in the general cost of living between the regions and also between the countries. So this is another reason, general cost of living. Next reason is migration controls. For example, a cap on the inward migration. So this is done in some of the areas of the country. So people are not welcomed in the area. So they are geographically immobile then. Next is cultural and language barriers. So this is another reason due to which the resources cannot be moved from one area to another. To reduce geographical immobility, reforms to the housing market designed to improve the supply and reduce the prices of the rented properties and to increase the supply of the affordable properties. So this is one step which can be done to reduce geographical immobility. Next is specific subsidies for people moving into areas where there are shortages of the labor. For example, teachers and workers in the National Health Service. So these are the steps which can be taken to reduce the geographical immobility. The next thing that we are going to read in the lecture is the short termism. Private sector firms may be interested in making quick profits and may not plan for the times ahead. Such a myopic approach can result in a lack of the investment. As a result, a government may have to stimulate private sector investment by, for instance, cutting taxes on the firms and undertake some investment itself. So if this is done, so private sector will be encouraged to invest more. Next thing that we are going to read in the lecture is the unfairness. Besides intervening in the market economy to correct market failure, government also intervene on the grounds of the equity, that is fairness, and income distribution can become very uneven if it is solely determined by the market forces. Some people will be very rich, but some will be very poor if it is left to the market forces. Private sector firms will only produce those products that people are willing to buy and able to pay for. This may mean that they will not produce products needed by the poor. A government is likely to try and ensure that everyone in the country has access to basic necessities, including housing, education, and healthcare. And to achieve this, government can give financial assistance to the poor and provide some essential products to them free of the cost. In fact, in a number of the countries, state education and healthcare is provided free, not only because they are merit goods, but also to make them accessible to the poor. Such free state services are financed by the taxation. And number second step is taken by the government to give these services to the poor also. Taxation and the benefits may also be used to reduce income and wealth inequality. There may be social unrest if there is a considerable income inequality. Also, if people are poor, they may be less healthy, less well educated, and consequently less productive. The next thing that we are going to read in the lecture is the government failure. Government intervention to resolve market failure can also fail to achieve a socially efficient allocation of the resources. Government failure is a situation where government intervention in the economy to correct a market failure creates inefficiency and leads to a misallocation of these scarce resources. Causes of the government failures may be: number one, political self-interest, government influenced by the influential political lobbying. So this is the one step why government fails in their policy, in applying their policies. Number two, poor value of the money, low productivity, high waste makes spending less effective. Next is policy short termism, government often looking for a quick fix solution. Next is regulatory capture, when government agency operates in favor of the producers. Next is conflicting objectives. One policy objective might conflict with the another. The next reason may be bureaucracy and the red tape. Cost of the enforcement may hurt enterprise and incentives. Next reason is unintended consequences. Policies have unintended or unanticipated side effects. So these are the reasons why government fail. The next thing that we are going to read in the lecture is the multiple choice questions. So in which case is market failure occurs? So look now. Market failure occurs in the firms producing above the lowest possible cost. So this is the reason. And other question is here. A merit good is one which has higher private benefits than consumers realize. So this is the definition of the merit good. So this is the answer. The next question is, which type of the goods would be overproduced if left to the market forces? So demerit goods will be produced more than the required if left to the market forces. And other question is here, what is the cause of the market failure? So consumers lacking information about where the lowest prices can be found. So this is the cause of the market failure, when the consumers do not have the full knowledge. So this was the lecture, students. I hope so this will be much more easier for you to understand now, and it will be interesting too. So read this lecture again, understand it, learn it, and make your notes. Thank you so much.